The most important thing you could be doing every day, quite possibly, is having a good bowel movement. This is something that inevitably comes up in our conversations, and it is an uncomfortable conversation sometimes, but probably the most important part of our initial conversations that we have with our clients here. Most people believe that it is okay that they're not having a bowel movement every day because it is common that they talk to other people like that. But it is not normal. And thank you, Annie, for the suggestion for us to make a video series called Common But Not Normal, because I believe this is really helpful for people to know. So many times things become normalized because they are common, but it is not in line with our actual health. Now, let me tell you, having a good bowel movement every day is so important. I explain it like this very easily. Once you are about to get on an elevator, you have to let the people off of that elevator before you get on it. And so it's important that we know that we really should be having a bowel movement that is equal to the amount that we're eating. So for every meal, we should really be having one. And if we're not having at least one a day, when I'm working with my clients, we go no further. We do not pass go. We do not collect anything until we start making that happen, because we cannot start putting more into the system when it's not removing things. And more times than I can tell you, individuals who have gone through years of having constipation, they have all kinds of chronic health conditions that are showing up later on. So we want to make sure that we're helping understand, number one, why we're not having regular bowel movements, and number two, how to make that magic happen, because you should really be feeling great afterwards. Now, I'm going to share with you a constipation checklist that we've created over the years so that you can know what you can do, or at least start finding some things to do. But first, I do want to understand that it is about 9 to 20% of adults in the United States who are having unsatisfactory defecation and difficult or infrequent stools. But this is my favorite part: chronic idiopathic constipation. Idiopathic being one of our favorite terms that we like to talk about here, which literally just means, I don't know why this is happening. And so we want to remove the idiopathic portion of this and find out why, and that's going to empower us. And in order for us to do this, we've over the years started to develop our constipation checklist, but it starts with questions, because we always say sometimes the questions we're asking are more important than the answers that we're giving or getting. And so we ask several questions about, whether or not you're having one daily. How many times in a day do you have one? When was the last one? The consistency, your water intake, your levels of stress, your fiber intake, the amount of exercise you're having. All of these things really come to bear on this. And if you want a copy of this, as it's a living, changing document, make sure you email our office at info@Strong on Health, and we will send this off to you so that you can get a copy of this. But I'm going to take our attention down here to my first and favorite way to help rule out some of the most likely suspects, and that is a cup of black beans 3 days in a row. I usually tell people, look, if you're struggling with this, the first thing we should be doing is a cup of black beans 3 days in a row. That's going to provide us with magnesium. Most people are low on magnesium. It's going to provide us with potassium. Most people are low on potassium, and fiber. Most people are not getting enough fiber. If we can rule out those big three first, then we can learn an awful lot. Sometimes you're going to get people saying, look, I get a little bloated or gassy with those beans, which gives us more information about the fact that we need to work more on the microbiome and your digestive capabilities, the ability to break down carbohydrates. Now, not to get funny, but one of those questions is going to be, is there a smell or isn't there a smell? And most people don't realize that this can be the difference between whether or not you're digesting carbohydrates, which would really be less of a smell, or you're not digesting proteins, which would be more of a smell, which guides us to be whether we're focusing on upper digestion or lower digestion. Another one of my favorite home remedies is getting them to just drink a cup of sauerkraut juice, or actually just eating sauerkraut. I have a very good friend who was in the hospital, and he was struggling with some constipation due to the medications he was on. And he called me, and I told him to have his girlfriend bring him some sauerkraut and just drink the juice. Well, I got a call back from him later saying, you didn't tell me how fast that was going to make things move. What that does is it helps to create the right pH in the colon. Most times people don't realize that we actually need to create the right environment in our colon instead of just trying to force that environment to happen by putting probiotics in there. And sauerkraut is one of those great ones. And today, I want to share you a brand new one that's not even on the constipation checklist yet, because it was just brought to me by one of my favorite clients. And she's working with her father and getting him healthier and healthier. And he's having this amazing, inspiring turnaround in his health for all the things he's doing. But he was still experiencing a little bit of constipation. Well, what she discovered is she said, Dustin, I always feel better, not just my mood, but overall better when I drink that mineral water you're telling me about, that crazy water, number 4, specifically for him. She goes, we found is we drank about a quarter of this out, and then we replaced that quarter with prune juice. You make my bowels loose. You move everything through me was the song we sang when we were kids. And that seemed to be the magic bullet for him. Now, that's always been a long-term remedy, but it seems to be very interesting mixing it with a good solid mineral water. So if you're having just constipation and you're having all kinds of frustration because it's just not happening, and trust me, you feel better when you are not, of course, full of it. And that's actually what one of my friends suggested we do here is make new business cards that say strong on health. We make it happen because we are very, very much focused on making it happen for you and everybody. So if you are struggling and if this constipation checklist is not enough, or if you have some things that you'd like to add to that, we want to make sure that we're not just forcing something to happen. We still want to get the information as to why it wasn't happening. What part of nature were we not in sync with that was keeping us from having a natural, regular way of being a part of nature? Okay, thank you again for watching, and thank you for the suggestion, Andy. We're going to make more on this series of common but not normal. And we got some great suggestions. And if you can give us some more suggestions below, that would be wonderful. Please leave them in the comments for us. And please, of course, share this with individuals who are struggling with this and have those slightly uncomfortable conversations, because this is so important for your health and longevity. We're not going to get there. We're not going to achieve longevity if we're not having our digestive movements and our whole digestive system working optimally. Nothing else can happen until we are digesting the foods. We cannot force nutrition into our body unless our digestive system is able to help us utilize. Okay, thank you again for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Hopefully, may you have wonderful bowel movements every day for the rest of your life. And if you're not, we're here to help. Have a great one.